So we got a look at the Sonic Frontiers gameplay combat, and there's a lot of things going on here, and of course a lot of people's opinions being shared online about what this combat means for this game, how it looks, is it any good, is the animation still bad? There's a lot of answers here, and I'm going to try to give you guys some answers of my own and my own opinions on what I think about this combat. We talked about the kind of overall gameplay already, with Sonic just running through this open world and collecting things and how Sonic looked, his speed, you know, what the world was like, and now we're going to dive into, you know, obviously all combat here in this video. If you guys want to see the other one, it's up already about, you know, how I feel that there's still a lot of potential coming for this game, but this time, of course, I'm just focusing on the combat and talking about, is it any good or not? Well, let's dive in. I think one thing that people need to realize is the fact that there's even a combat segment is kind of insane. For Sonic to have a whole combat gameplay session for 7 minutes is crazy, considering the fact that Sonic is always having basic combat. In all of his games, he really just focuses on homing attacks, and maybe even with Sonic Lost World, the ability to punch a kick once or twice and then move on. That's really about it, unless you look at, like, you know, Sonic Unleashed with the Werehog and then Sonic Boom with his electric whip. So really, any type of combat at all really is a progressive step for Sonic, and I'm going to straight up say right now, I love what they've shown off with the combat, and I'm going to try to break it down a little bit and talk about why it's actually really good for Sonic right now in this open world. But when Sonic does a homing attack towards an enemy, he has the ability to punch and kick them in mid-air and continue to punch and kick for combos, and he can even pause in mid-air if he wants to drop or wait to hit another punch or kick. Lots of people thought this was a little too slow and it looked a little bit too laggy when he's punching and kicking, but I actually don't have a problem with it. It actually gives each punch and kick a powerful effect, almost like it's an anime fight or something, and I really like that for Sonic. He's so fast, maybe it's just like his speed of his punches and kicks are so fast it kind of slows down its time. And I actually like that effect where it just seems like it's a lot more powerful each punch and kick from Sonic. Having slow punches and kicks also allows Sonic, like I said, to stall and drop down or even air dodge backwards in a way in case the enemy tries to attack you in between your punches and kicks like he was trying to here. Sonic saw this and was able to backflip away onto the mountain nearby and run down, which I actually really like a lot. It gives you lots of options. You can't just sit there and punch and kick your enemies, and punching and kicking real slow gives you the ability to see what's coming. It allows you to react to it and choose if you want to continue fighting or dodge out of there or completely do a backflip out of the entire battle itself and reset. I really like this mechanic. I think the problem for bigger enemies is that it just takes a lot of punch and kicks and you'll be doing it over and over and over again and they don't die. I don't think this is as much of the combat's fault, but as much as the enemy's health. Some enemies just have way too much health, and Sonic is just punching and kicking non-stop, like this little flower thing. Literally, he uses like 3 ultimate attacks in a series of like 2 or 3 multiple punches and kicks before the thing even drops, and it looks like it only drops a couple of like collectibles that maybe fill up your HP meter or maybe your XP meter. We really don't know because there's no UI yet, but it just seems like these things take so many hits just for an average little enemy in the overworld. There's no real reason to stop and fight them, but I'll get into that in a second. Now, where I feel like these punches and kicks come in the most are these little enemies, because they defeat a lot easier, and it just looks so much more smooth and fluid when you're just hitting a couple with a punch, kick, and then they blow up and you move on to the next one. I really like this, and it just shows that these smaller enemies are going to be a lot more fun to take out, and you're probably going to want to take these out a lot more when you come across them in the overworld, compared to something like that giant flower or the multiple ball enemy. And I also like how sometimes a regular homing attack can be enough to just completely defeat your foe. In mid-air, Sonic takes out 3 of them with 3 homing attacks and he's done, without even having to punch or kick, which is of course Sonic at its core. I love that, it's simple and it works. And Sonic can also do the same thing when he's taking out big bosses, or at least these semi-bosses or colossal, whatever you call these guys in the overworld, we have no names for them. Sonic can just do a flurry of punch and kicks and followed by one of his ultimate moves, and I like it. There's nothing real wrong about it. He's just punching and kicking, and I think it works after his homing attack, instead of just him bouncing multiple times off of an enemy all the time. I think this kind of, you know, relieves him of multiple headaches. He can now use his hands and his feet instead of just his head all day. But I want to think back to Sonic's specials, because these specials probably have some type of meter that builds up as you're fighting, and they can be used to take out enemies a lot quicker. The first one we see is Sonic brings it all the way back and zigzags his way to slam his body into his opponent, which seems like it's pretty good, probably not for a multi-hit enemy like these balls, but it works. The next one is kind of similar, but Sonic does a little loop-de-loop and comes in with a striking kick for a big blow, another cool looking one. And then finally we have this tornado ability where he kind of just spins around and causes a whirlwind to kill the enemy, or at least do massive damage. Now, okay, I know, the problem with this one is the animation. He looks so weird just upside down spinning. He's not really doing anything besides just in this upside down model, and they just turned it around multiple times. Yeah, it looks very bad. That definitely has to be fixed. You know, there's just no excuse for this. They have to give Sonic more animation when he's fighting and when he's moving. Then we have one of my favorite abilities that he has. He's able to spin around and kick these projectiles out at enemies in order to defeat them quicker. I love this. It just looks cool. It looks like it's probably one of the most effective, and I don't know. I just feel like this one is probably the most coolest idea for Sonic because he's using wind as his ability, which he should because he's so fast. And normally that's kind of how they associate Sonic is with wind. So, you know, combining that with an attack is just really cool. Now, I don't know how you're going to trigger these abilities, and I don't know which ones are more effective. Maybe certain ones are more effective against certain enemies, and that would be a really cool battle concept. And it looks like, for instance, the one with the multiple kicks is good against the ball enemy, and that makes sense because you have to, you know, fire all these projectiles at all these different balls on this robot. It just kind of works out that way, and I hope that's the case. Sonic also has the unique ability to circle around his enemies with this weird circle that shoots things up in the air afterwards with a gust of wind. And for this giant flower type of pod enemy, he can also lift the shell up from the air in order to attack him from underneath, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's going to come in handy with a lot more puzzles and, you know, deeper enemies later on, which we'll see with this kind of boss battle that Sonic has to face. But at the end, I think it's really cool. He can even do a quicker one where he does it real fast and then lifts them up. I just love this idea. I think it's cool because not only does it work with just, you know, exploiting the weak points for enemies, but you can also just lift enemies up in the air to take them up to aerial combat, where you can just go crazy on them with homing attacks and punches and kicks in midair, which I love a lot. I think this is also a really cool part of his moveset. You also get to see Sonic use it on these giant robots where he gets to lift its foot in order to hit it underneath, once again really resembling Shadow of the Colossus. I don't really understand what the point of this is though. It looks like he doesn't even need to do this. All he has to do is attack at the top. If you look closely, you get to see some type of blue gear come out of him after he hits him here, so maybe this is just for a collectible thing, but besides that, I don't really know what else, you know, what's the main reason of hitting his feet are. It's not knocking him over, not really doing anything crazy, but it definitely is cool looking. Sonic is also given the ability to dodge, and you get to see from the enemy waves right before they attack, they have this blue static right before they try to stab Sonic. And Sonic can do different backflips, side steps, and even front flips in order to dodge different attacks, but he also has a quick time where if he dodges at the right time, slide away from the enemy real quick in slow motion and then get to follow up with a counterattack, which I actually like a lot. But the main problem with it, once again, is just how chunky and weird Sonic looks when he does this animation. He's kind of in this like laying forward animation where he's kind of just diving and then it flips his model over. It's just really bad. I don't know why it looks so chunky and cloggy like that. I don't know how in the world they allowed this to look like this. I'm once again just praying that this is just it right now, like this is just a beta build, and eventually that will be sorted out and fixed. But man, that just looks bad, and not just when it's slowed down, that looks bad in live. I mean, it just, yeah. I love this ability, but please fix this, Sega. When talking about the robots themselves, there is a little bit of a problem with how they attack. For instance, this one that's just a cluster of balls really only has 2 attacks. It has a defensive attack where it glows red, which means you can't hit it during this time, and then it will shoot an occasional laser at Sonic, and that's really about it. This flower pod one will just stand still and then occasionally throw its metal leaves at Sonic, but it's very occasionally, and most of the time it just sits here in this defensive state until Sonic, you know, lifts the shell off of him. And then you have these kind of minion robot ones, which are kind of cool. Their arms transform into like these giant knives that try to stab Sonic. And they actually teleport their attacks a little bit from some little blue electricity emitting from their hands that let Sonic know it's almost time to dodge. I really like this, and I think these are probably one of my favorite enemies. They're quick to beat, and you just kind of come up on them, dodge real quick, and defeat them really fast without having to spend hours on one single enemy. Then of course you have these giant robots that once again reminds me of Shadow of the Colossus. You got to make your way up its arm. All it does is try to hit Sonic very slow, which is very easy to dodge. and then you just make your way up these blue rings, which looks like it could be a little wonky. I think the person that actually played this on IGN came out today and said that it was a little wonky, and it just definitely could use improving because it's easy to fall off the arm and stuff. But I actually like this, scaling the arm and taking out the 3 spires at the top, and there is a difficulty. After the first time, it'll start shooting out these red circles, which will push Sonic back instead of allowing him to move forward. They don't hurt him, but it could be kind of annoying getting pushed back, and I just don't really see the main, threat of these robots. They don't really hurt Sonic all that much, so yeah, I don't know if there's different ones that do a lot more damage to Sonic, but this one seems to be one of the first ones he finds, so it's understandable. And that is pretty much the combat of Sonic Frontiers, and I really, really like it. I think IGN has come out and said there is a skill tree in XP for fighting enemies, so you have a reason to fight now, but man, I really love the combat. I think it fleshes Sonic out a lot more than just homing attacks. I like what they've done here. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see anything else different besides just a model change or the way Sonic looks while fighting, but let me know what you think down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For more updates on Sonic and anything else Nintendo-wise, please make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and stay up to date on all that good stuff. But I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.